Tonight on Bobcat Breakdown, some Quinnipiac teams are having an identity crisis. We'll break it down and tell you what they are.
Also, women's basketball assistant coach Mountain MacGillivray live in studio to talk about the team. It's time to break it down.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Bobcat Breakdown. I'm Jordan Siegler.
And I'm Arthur Lane. We had a big weekend of Quinnipiac sports, and with the postseason approaching quickly, we've got a lot to talk about tonight.
So let's get right to it. We're going to start off with our top 4 stories of the past weekend, and our top story from the past weekend is women's hockey. Goaltender Chelsea Laden has been having an incredible season on the stat sheet. However, following a rough outing and a loss to St. Lawrence, Coach Rick Seeley decided to sit his star goaltender in favor of backup Cindy Rossman against Clarkson. Rossman had a shutout, saving 14 shots in her second start of the year. So what makes the story significant is that it raises the question, is it Chelsea Laden or is it the defense in front of her that's leading to the team's success this season?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. Chelsea Laden has definitely had a fantastic season. She does have 13 shutouts. The defense can't do that alone. But at the same time, the defense has a lot to do with her success. We've seen that with Sid Rossman coming in. Sid Rossman hasn't played for quite some time. She comes in and gets a shutout. So that leads me to believe that the defense has contributed a lot, but I don't think they're the sole reason for the goaltender's success this year.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think the defense, though, really is the main factor here because the team in this season has been giving up about 16 shots per game. And if you're looking at games, and they're outscoring teams by about 16 shots per game. But if you look at the games that they're losing, I believe about 4 games this season that they lost, they were outshot in those games. Now, so the team, if they're not allowing shots, Chelsea Laden's really not having to do much. However, it is hard for a goaltender to keep their focus, if they're not seeing a ton of shots. So there is credit to be due to Chelsea Laden. But I think we can both agree the defense really has been the major factor here. They've really, if you watch the games, the puck is mostly in the they're keeping the puck in the offensive zone most of the time, and most of the time teams don't even barely get to touch the puck.
Yeah, and I mean it's also hard when it's that way for a goaltender to stay in the game and still make big saves when they need to when the other team gets in the offensive zone. So I've definitely been impressed by both goaltenders, but I'm also extremely impressed with the defense. So I think that I think most people on the team would say it kind of goes both ways.
Absolutely.
You got to give some credit to the defense, but you still got to give some credit to the goaltenders.
Absolutely.
Our second story tonight is men's basketball. Coming off a weekend during which they dominated 2 conference opponents, the Bobcats defeated Fairfield in a 1-point victory. They then played a close one against conference favorite Iona on Sunday, falling to the Gales by 3. So with the conference wide open and the team playing much better than earlier in the year, do you think they have a chance to win the MAAC?
Now, I think they have a chance. I don't think they will, though. This is a very different team. This team has really gone through a transformation, I think, throughout the season. They've really had to kind of piece some things together. Losing Gio McLean for the year due to ineligibility was tough for them. They've had to kind of scramble to find a point guard. They found that in Aaron Hutton. But again, this team has really kind of struggled to find an identity. There's a while there where Zaire Hurst and Usman Drame were carrying the bulk. The starting lineups changed a lot, and now they're kind of sharing the ball a lot more. And I believe if they keep with that style of play, sharing the ball, I don't think there's a limit to where this team can go. I
agree. I think that they can certainly win the MAAC. Would I put any of my own money on it? No. There's a lot of good teams. Iona, I think everyone would say is the best team, but that doesn't mean that they're unbeatable. I think that Iona can be beat in the conference tournament. They were almost beat by Quinnipiac over the weekend, but at the same time, I just think that Iona is going to be a little too much for everyone else, including the Bobcats. The Bobcats, like you said, the offense comes and goes sometimes. There's some games where they have, they score 91 points against Niagara. And then there's some games where they score like 55 and stuff. It's really the ball movement. And sometimes they get the ball moving a lot and get a lot of assists. And then sometimes the ball just gets stagnant and they go back to their old offense of the last 3 years where it's you kick it down low and then you rely on the big man to make a play, whether it's to the basket or kick it out to the guards, and then you got to worry about the guards hitting threes, which they've also been inconsistent with this year.
Yeah, and I think we've hit on the point that I think that it's all about sharing the basketball because, again, Zayed Hurst is going to take a lot of shots, and there are a lot of games where he misses a lot of them, and then if no one else is scoring, that's going to be tough for them. I mean, but you see in games where Evan Conte's really stepped up, Justin Harris stepping up in that Fairfield game. That contribution is huge for them, and it's important because I think if teams make them play with just Zayed Hurst and Ousmane Drame, I think they'll beat Quinnipiac easily.
Absolutely.
It's all about the other guys and whether or not they can get involved in the offense.
That's the difference between the beginning of the MAAC play towards the end.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the MAAC, they relied on Zayed Hurst to get 25 points every night, and if he didn't get that, then they weren't going to win the game. And we've seen them evolve with Aaron Hutton emerging as the starting point guard, and now James Ford Jr. playing good minutes and being a three-point threat for the Bobcats. So I definitely think that they can make a run in the MAAC tournament, but like I said, I'm not going to put any of my own money on the game.
So now we're going to go to the ice again. The men's hockey team won both their games this weekend. Their first win came in a battle for first place in the ECAC with St. Lawrence. Then on Saturday, the team took down Clarkson 4-1 to clinch a first-round bye in the ECAC tournament. Their next game is the much-anticipated Heroes Hat game against rival Yale on Friday night. Win this weekend, and the Bobcats would clinch the Cleary Cup, winning the ECAC regular season championship. But Arthur, the big problem that we've seen all year with this team, and we saw it this weekend, is inconsistency throughout the game. They always seem to come out a little sluggish in the first period, and then they seem to turn around later on in the game. Do you think that this is a case of poor preparation and good in-game adjustment, or do you think it's just that they're coming out slow and they kind of need to get going?
I think it's more they're coming out slow and they need to get going, just because if it was poor preparation, it would have been fixed by now. We know the head coach, Rand Pecknold, really hones in on compete level is his phrase. And so I think they just take a little time to warm up. If they withstand a first period with they're within one or tied or even leading, then they're usually going to win the game. But I think that sometimes they've just gotten too far behind in the first period against some of the non-conference teams, and they haven't been able to come back. Yeah, I mean, this is a team that really relies on speed a lot of times. They're not very big, and speed you need to warm up, and especially warm-ups don't really do it because again, it's just warm-ups. You're not going full speed. You have to really get out there, go full speed, and then to get up to that full speed and start getting moving fast around there. That's what creates opportunities for them. And it's also about rhythm. This is a rhythm-based team, and you can't. It's hard to start a game in rhythm. You have to start the game and then progressively get into rhythm. So I think that's what it is. Yeah, and the play style has completely changed. From last year, we saw a possession-based team with the Joneses. They could possess the puck for long amounts of time, but this year they're more of transition, and that's where they get their points from, usually with the likes of Sam Annis, Matthew Pekka, and Landon Smith. All right, so men's hockey talk we're going to talk about going to the postseason now. This is a team that has struggled a lot in the postseason in recent years, particularly the ECAC tournament. We're not going to talk about the NCAA tournament because they went to the finals a couple of years ago, so you can't really talk about struggling there. But in the ECAC tournament, past 2 years have both been very, very good years, and they just haven't been able to get it done in the ECAC tournament. Do you think that that's going to change this year? Why do you think that? It could change this year. Quinnipiac's played extremely well against the rest of the ECAC this year, but at the same time, there has been those postseason woes in the ECAC tournament. So I wouldn't be surprised if they won the ECAC championship in Lake Placid. But at the end of the day, I still feel like a team like St. Lawrence or a Harvard, if Harvard gets back to full strength, is more likely to win. Now, I would take Quinnipiac over those teams in the NCAA tournament, but as far as the ECAC tournament with the open ice up on an Olympic sheet up in Lake Placid, I think it's a little different, and I think that the Bobcats aren't necessarily prepared for that. We've thought that they would be the last couple years, but they always have trouble in the ECAC tournament. Yeah, and I think that it also has a lot to do with, again, what we were talking about before with the rhythm and the speed. It's, they're a team that can be beat in a single game elimination format, and I think that's why we've seen them a lot of times advance past the best of 3 round into that single game format and then fall in the single game format.
All right, now we're going to head to a quick break here, but when we come back, we're going to play a little game. So I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. You're just going to have to stay with us to find out what it is. So stay tuned. Bobcat Breakdown. We'll be right back.
That was then, this is now. Don't be just a number.
Hello, welcome to Chameleon.
At Chameleon Hair Color Cafe and Spa, it's all about what makes you feel beautiful. Their professional team is dedicated to helping you reach your customized beauty goals from your head to your toes. Chameleon Hair Color Cafe and Spa, where it's all about what makes you feel beautiful.
Looking for debate and analysis of your favorite Quinnipiac sports?
Attacking and pressing. I mean,
right, and it's not and what they're doing isn't working.
But unfortunately, they couldn't finish the Colgate game, so I think definitely those are the keys that the Bobcats need to watch.
Had guys that can take the ball in the latter stages of the second half.
I think those
even
are
with limited minutes.
In the MAAC, they play the run and gun style.
Q30's and QBSN's Bobcat Breakdown brings all that to you and more. Live every Monday night at 8:30, tune in to see analysis of your Bobcats from the week before. Every sport, from every season, it's all right here on Bobcat Breakdown.
We are your source for entertainment news.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. I'm Jordan Siegler with Arthur Lane. We're now going to play a little game, and it's called Which Team Are They? The way this is going to work is we're going to look at the games from this past weekend for each team and determine which team from which game that they really are. Now, first up is the men's hockey team. They won both their games this weekend, so we're going to have to change it up a little bit for them. And so instead of which team are they based on the games this weekend, the question is going to be, which team are they? The team that struggled in out-of-conference play or the team that has dominated in ECAC play?
I'm not going to give you a straight answer. I'm going to say they're more so the team that's dominated league play, but I think there are some signs of struggling in the non-conference play. And we all know that if they make the NCAA tournament, they would be playing mostly non-conference teams. So I just think that they've struggled a little with non-conference play. I think the youth comes into that as well. You're playing against big-time schools, bigger teams, more physical teams than you see in the ECAC. So I think that that's part of the problem for them in the out-of-conference schedule, which has really hurt their pairwise ranking. Because when you look at the team, how they've dominated this league play, you think of 2 years ago when they were the #1 team in the country. Yeah. So, but their non-conference play has held them back. So I think they're more like the ECAC team, but they do have some signs of that non-conference team. The women's basketball team has been almost unstoppable all season. They're 23-3 overall and undefeated in conference play. They had another big win Thursday against MAAC powerhouse Marist, an 18-point victory. That's twice now they've beat the Red Foxes. But on Sunday almost dropped their first conference game to Canisius. It took a three from Jasmine Martin with 7 seconds left to send it into overtime. So, Jordan, which team are they?
Oh, this is an easy one. They're the team that beat Marist by 18 points. I mean, one tough game. It happens, but they've been absolutely destroying everybody in MAAC play. I think it's easily possible that they're going to win the MAAC, and I think that's what's going to happen. So, which team are they? They're the team from the Marist game that won by 18 points. So now looking at women's hockey, they've dropped 5 of their last 8 this weekend. This weekend they were shut out by St. Lawrence, who are behind them in the ECAC. Then they go out the next night against the top 10 ranked team in Clarkson and shut them out. So after they started the season on such a roll, they've now lost 5 of their last 8. Which team are they? The team that was shut out by St. Lawrence, or the team that shut out Clarkson?
Once again, I can't give you a straight answer.
You never can.
I'm sorry, but I think they're more the team that got shut out by St. Lawrence. I know that might send shockwaves through some people, but they haven't beaten a good team all year other than Clarkson. Clarkson's the only top 10 team that they've beat this year. They beat them twice, but they've struggled against the BU, the BC, the Harvard, and they even lost to Cornell and St. Lawrence. So I think while they've really taken care of the teams that aren't in the top 10, they've really struggled with the teams that are in the top 10. So I lean more to they're the team that struggled against St. Lawrence. But, you know, not to take away from the great season that they've had. They've dominated the teams that they've had to dominate, but they haven't played well against the teams that they should put up more of a fight against. Men's basketball is looking better as of late. They split this weekend. The first game was a 1-point victory against Fairfield, one of the worst teams in the conference. But then they had a close loss to the best team in the conference, Iona. So, Jordan, which team are they? The team that struggled against Fairfield or the team that almost beat Iona?
You know, I'm going to say that they're the team that almost beat Iona, because this is a team that we've seen in the past that gets up to play the big teams. So I think that going forward and into the MAAC tournament, I think we're going to see them at least make the semifinals. I think that they are the better team that almost beat Iona, and I think they can beat Iona. I don't think obviously they lost by only 3. I don't think it's out of the question. So I think it's I think they're the team from Sunday that almost beat the best team in the conference. So now we're going to head to another quick break, but when we come back, we're going to have an interview with women's basketball assistant coach Mountain MacGillivray. We'll be right back.
That was then, this is now. Don't be just a number.
Hello, welcome to Chameleon.
At Chameleon Hair Color Cafe and Spa, it's all about what makes you feel beautiful. Their professional team is dedicated to helping you reach your customized beauty goals from your head to your toes. Chameleon Hair Color Cafe and Spa, where it's all about what makes you feel beautiful.
Welcome to A Sheer Sensation, North Haven's premier cosmetology service, located at 140 Washington Avenue, minutes from Hamden. We offer an array of services, from basic cuts and colors to lash extensions and formaldehyde-free keratin treatments. We also provide hair chalk and styling for men. When you spend $60, your Q card will get you 10% off. Call us at 203-239-6477 to make your next appointment at A Sheer Sensation.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. I'm now joined by women's basketball assistant coach Mountain MacGillivray. Welcome to the show, Mountain.
Thanks a lot, Jordan. Glad to be here.
All right. Now let's jump right into it. You guys have so many veterans on the team this year. Do you ever think about next year? I know I'm jumping a little into the future here, but do you ever think about what you guys are going to do next year, losing so many key pieces?
Sure. You don't ever participate in any season without also thinking about the future. I mean, college basketball is a constant recruiting process, so you're never just looking at today, you're always looking at 1, 2, even 3 years ahead. So yes, we've thought a lot about next year, and you know, we're going to suffer heavy losses with an extremely talented group, a group that's going to have won over 100 games when it's all said and done in their 4 years, but we really like what's behind them. That's kind of why you've seen the gold rush this year, and you've seen the that second unit coming in and getting a lot of valuable minutes. They've scored over 40 quite a few times coming off the bench this year. And I think they're going to be prepared for next season.
Is there a player on that second unit that you can pick out that you think is going to step up the most next year?
Well, No, I don't think I can signal out one. I would say that you already see major contributions from Napolitano and Martucci. They had the experience last year as well. But I don't really think you've seen everything that Jen Fay can do. Even the young ladies you're not seeing right now, and a lot, Morgan Manns and Brittany Johnson, Carly Fabry. There's a lot there, and they're licking their chops for their opportunity next year.
So now let's bring it back to this year. Your team just recently received a vote in this week's AP Top 25 poll. What do you guys think of that?
I'm curious as to who gave us that vote. I want to say thanks. It's nice. National recognition is always nice. We've been getting the honors in the mid-major poll, which has been nice, and we're way up there in the RPI. We're top 30 right now, and it's nice. It is what it is. It's a tip of the cap, and I appreciate that. So now, looking at your team going forward into a potential NCAA tournament berth, you said back in 2013, the last time your team was in the tournament, after you lost that, you said that one of the reasons that you felt that your team lost was because you weren't prepared for to play big bodies. Do you feel that your team has the same issue this year, or do you think that you were better prepared? Well, I mean, we did get out to Notre Dame and got a real taste of what the biggest bodies are like. I just think that year we did it with Abshire being a sophomore, Martin being a sophomore, Guastella being a sophomore, and they're seniors now. And Val Driscoll's a fifth-year player. Nicolai Ostergaard was a sophomore then; she's a senior. That's going to help make up for maybe some of the bigger bodies we might see. I also think we might end up in a better seeding and might see a team a little bit more like ourselves than Maryland, which was quite a power. So
now, one of the biggest concerns going into the season was the rebounding for your team. Mm-hmm. You're losing Brittany McQuain, who was great in terms of rebounding. Have you been surprised at how consistent the numbers have been this year as compared to last year in rebounding?
We still haven't been thrilled. So it's still a cause for concern. If you were at practice today, you'd have saw us getting it after in the rebounding drills and just disciplining ourselves to take our assignments more seriously and do our job on the boards, because I think it's still a weakness, and we're going to make sure it doesn't come to bite us. And we've been pleased that it hasn't really caught up with us yet. But
what do you really feel your team needs to do in order to make it not a weakness? Do you think that there's something that you guys can do this year?
Yeah, well, I mean, just to have every player who's on the floor contributing really take a focus and understand how important it is to follow their assignment and block their player out and aggressively pursue the ball.
Okay, now a lot of us here have been saying that your team could benefit from a loss before the playoffs, in the regular season, kind of bring you back down to earth. Would you agree with that?
No, not in the slightest. I said to the team, we had film preparing for our next game right after the Canisius game, and said, just exactly what you said. A lot of people say that it's better to learn from a loss. And we said, absolutely not. We're happy to have the win, and we're going to learn from our mistakes in that game and take it forward. So we'll see if we learned anything come St. Peter's game. All
right, now quickly before I let you go, last time your team went undefeated in the regular season, you went to the NCAA tournament, well, undefeated in conference play.
Yeah.
Went to the NCAA tournament, and that was 2 years ago. How would you compare this year's team to the one 2 years ago?
I'd say it's very similar. I'd say that this year's team is really offensively powerful. There's so many kids who can make baskets, who can score the ball. Both units have a lot of offensive talent. That team had Felicia Barron, and Felicia Barron just changed the game from the defensive end. She just tortured whoever. I mean, the guards were sweating before the game even started, knowing they had to play against her. And so we don't have that, but we do have just a team that has so much firepower that it's really tough to figure out who they're going to play.
Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Now, when we come back, Arthur Lane's going to join me again on the desk, and we're going to talk a little women's basketball, so stay tuned for that.
Welcome to A Sheer Sensation, North Haven's premier cosmetology service, located at 140 Washington Avenue, minutes from Hamden. We offer an array of services, from basic cuts and colors to lash extensions and formaldehyde-free keratin treatments. We also provide hair chalk and styling for men. When you spend $60, your Q card will get you 10% off. Call us at 203-239-6477 to make your next appointment at A Sheer Sensation.
We are your source for entertainment news.
What's the morning after? Mondays at 10, only on Q30.
And we have a
Back to his Hollywood days.
This is my mom.
That was then, this is now. Don't be just a number.
Hello, welcome to Chameleon.
At Chameleon Hair Color Cafe and Spa, it's all about what makes you feel beautiful. Their professional team is dedicated to helping you reach your customized beauty goals from your head to your toes. Chameleon Hair Color Cafe and Spa, where it's all about what makes you feel beautiful.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. I'm Jordan Siegler, and Arthur Lane is back with me on the desk. So now we're just going to talk a little bit about what we just heard from women's basketball assistant coach Mountain MacGillivray. One of the things that he did say was that he said that his team didn't need to learn from a loss. Obviously, we're talking about they had the close one on Sunday against Canisius. They only won by 3. And so, you know, a lot of people have been saying recently that this team should lose one game just to kind of get back to earth, refocus before the MAAC tournament. But do you agree with him? Do you think that they don't need a loss?
I agree now. Before the Sunday game, I might have had a different opinion, but the way in which the game against Canisius unfolded, that they were down, they had their backs against the wall, Jasmine Martin hit a huge 3 to put them into overtime, and then they won, I think that scared the daylights out of them, to be honest. And so I think it's a refocus type thing, like, hey, you know, we might be the best team in the MAAC, but that means we have to come every single night. So I think that the Sunday game is going to pay huge dividends for them. We saw this with the run 2 years ago. A lot of people said they needed to lose a game, and then they just refocused in in the NEC tournament and just completely steamrolled everyone. So I don't think they need a loss, but I think that what happened on Sunday is definitely going to benefit them.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that would happen on Sunday would really benefit them. But I kind of wish that they had lost to Marist, because I think that eventually they're going to run into Marist in the MAAC tournament. And it's, you know, we saw it a couple years ago with the men's ice hockey team when they beat Yale 3 times. Yeah. That 4th time in the national championship game, they lost. It's hard to beat a team that many times in a single season. I would have kind of wished that they lost to Marist, because I get scared now the next time that they play them. That they may lose that game. But we'll see what happens going forward. Well, that's going to do it for us here on Bobcat Breakdown.
For more information on Quinnipiac Athletics, follow QBSN on Twitter at QBSN and like us on Facebook. Also check out theqbsn.com.
You can also check out Q30 Sports on Twitter and Facebook at Q30 Sports, and see more of our content at Q30television.com.
For Jordan Siegler, I'm Arthur Lane. Have a good night.